brewing away. It's been about 40 minutes.
40 minutes. What we need to do, though, is we need to convert this into viewers. Not just bruises for me.
Hey, viewers.
Come and watch cute blue-eyed psychopathic dog beat her owner so he can't paint anything. You need to turn around and look at the camera. See how, so everybody can see how cute you are. You're 19 kilos, dog. You're not exactly a lap dog.
She doesn't know that.
No. And that's my fault because I keep picking her up and cuddling her. If I put you out with your brother, would you not wrestle? That's probably too much to ask, isn't it? I'm just going to put him out. Joe's at the market this morning.
Markets.
So I'm not going to bother getting out what I finished last week because I think you've seen enough of it.
The Knights.
Oh no, that was a 2-day thing during the week. That wasn't what I finished from the last live stream.
Oh, no, but it was an invitation to show off something else cool.
Oh, fair enough. Can I do that? Can I get them out without knocking everything else over? I used to be organised.
What's organised?
Yes. Kle mumbled something about potentially showing up this morning, so
Oh, good.
keep an eye out for him. So they may or may not say knee, but Knights. And the photo I posted didn't show that they had corded. I was going for a silky style look, like a silk material.
It is pretty satiny, isn't
it? So yeah, they did come out very nicely. They are spectacular figures.
They certainly are.
So we're doing something fairly similar today. More horses at any rate. So these are the Imperial Noble Mounted Lancers, which have since been renamed because I've finished that, all the renaming and new codes and all that kind of stuff.
Wow, that's something new to learn.
There'll be a completely new product hierarchy come the 1st of August. Out with the old and in with the soon-to-be old.
You're not working on 5th edition already, are you?
No, because I've got intermediate rules and then the complete rules to do.
Yeah.
Because this is just the basic rules. But it will be a free PDF, so you go to Demonworld at Fasa Games or Railpath of Europe. The PDF will be available for free download. And we've printed some copies to take with us to Gen Con. They'll be charged basically what it cost us to print them. Which is unfortunately not very cheap.
No, it wouldn't be.
Full colour printing is
Hideously expensive.
eye-wateringly expensive. And the printer pointed out to my chagrin that the cover photo's not in focus. So.
Oh, God.
I didn't think it looked too bad. I think I might have to go and get my eyes checked again.
There's always a critic.
Yeah, but it's his job to make sure that the product that he's producing is the best that it can possibly be, and I guess he would be remiss if he didn't point out something that he thought was a flaw.
Well, yeah.
I don't think it was a criticism of any individual necessarily. It was a, hey, have you realised? I was like, actually, no. Of all of the mistakes that are still in the book, that wasn't one that I was aware of. Of course, you never have enough time for these things. Started it too late and had too much work to do and too many other things to do, you know, like other Kickstarters to be aware of and all that kind of stuff. And there's never enough time and never enough people, and you get to the end and it's all a rush and stuff gets missed, and that's where we are. This is why a product only ever has to be good enough to go out the door. Because if you spend time making it perfect, it never will be.
Well, that's a whole other argument I was having with other people in a different server.
Which was?
Shadowrun 6th edition.
Well, you know, there's there's good enough. There's good enough, right?
Well, that product was good enough to release a multi-page errata document before the core rulebook hit the shelves.
Yeah.
So, and then it got worse from there.
Yeah. So, I noticed also that Catalyst have been doing new releases, and I'm going to make the sign of the quote, new releases. One of my local game suppliers sent an email out this week going, hey, we've got tons of new Battletech stuff. And I went and had a look and went, oh, that's really cool. I don't have those books before, but the contents of them sound suspiciously familiar. So I went over to my bookshelf and pulled a book that they'd printed before and went, so these two books are the first half of and the second half of this book split into their own hardbound volume. Right. Guess I don't need to buy those then.
I think there are now 6 different editions of the Shadowrun 6 core rulebook.
Ooh.
And the primary difference between them is the cover.
And that's it.
That's it.
Right. So they're playing to the collector.
Yeah. And they've given themselves room to continue to grow on.
Right.
In that vein, I'm like, eh.
Well,
Some of what's being passed off as books are just pamphlets. I'm
yeah,
like,
right.
I wouldn't have bought these ordinarily. But, you know, there's a deal on. I've got 3/4 of all of the released product for it for the cost of one book.
Yeah. Well,
but not the important books that actually make that particular game system playable.
Yeah. I bought all the 5th edition. Never used it. I refused to buy 6th.
I don't blame you. I also bought all of 5th edition, but I've bought 6th as well. Like, just to go off on a tangent here, I was really keen on the idea of 6th edition when it was first coming out. In the previews and the lead up, I was interested and excited, and I was hopeful for it.
Yeah.
But it was a total clusterfuck of mechanics and writing and editing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was trash. It was
Yeah.
trash. It's not to disparage the people behind it, but whoever allegedly edited it and play tested it, well, quite frankly, they fucking didn't.
Mm-hmm.
They fucking didn't.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what they say, because it's trash and the game didn't work.
Yeah. See, that's disappointing.
Yeah, anyway.
I can only hope that in the next couple of months I don't have the same criticism aimed at me about Demonworld, but
Are you
inevitably I
trying
will.
to rush a product outside the door to meet a
An
deadline
arbitrary
for
deadline?
arbitrary?
You fucking well know I am.
I think the difference is here is that you're willing to
We're not charging people
actually,
for it.
yeah. Yeah, I got to attend to a little question here.
Righto.
Speaking of Shadowrun,
Mm-hmm.
our mutual friend Max just asked me a question on character creation.
Right.
Basically, one of his players has got a cheat character he's ginned up.
Right.
How you going, Kle?
Yeah, not too bad yourself.
Cold.
Yeah.
Fucking cold. I imagine it'd be worse up there.
Yeah, it's pretty damn cold up here.
It's dropped under 20 again, folks.
The sun is shining, but nobody's home.
The sun is shining, just not there.
Oh, it's shining, it's just not warm enough. My block's a south-facing one, so
Oh boy.
we don't get much sun in winter.
It's balmy here. Really, really balmy.
5 degrees or something.
Oh, it's at 11.
Ugh. Well, I've got my feet in a big bucket of hot water.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Epsom salts and hot
Oh,
water.
nice.
My knees are cold, but my feet are lovely and warm.
Yeah, man. There's even a firewood shortage in like the 3 or so towns around here.
Well, you got lots of state forests around there, so you can't go out and cut down your own, can you?
I was debating that. I was like, should we just go out and chop some? You know, and I'm like, oh, the time. You know, take half a day, or I could just pay, you know, $100 or $200 and get it delivered. But suddenly you can't get it delivered, so now I've got to go and spend half a day chopping it.
How'd you go yesterday? Did you get it done?
Yeah, it wasn't that much, and it was a different sort of chopping. I thought I'd be chopping with an axe, you know, like prepping it for a fire, but
Yeah, no.
I just had to chop it with a chainsaw, so it didn't take long at all.
The petrol axe.
Yep, exactly. It was easy. I went out and panic bought 3 more bottles of Agrax Earthshade last night.
It's it's
And
funny you should mention such a thing.
I reckon half of the gaming world's out there buying it now.
Buying it, yeah.
Most of the shops I went to had sold out
Yeah.
or had just like one bottle.
Yeah.
And I have a brand new bottle here because I just ran out.
Yeah.
And I went, oh man, if they've changed that formula and they've fucking made it like I mean, if they have made it like a contrast paint,
Yeah.
then I'm not interested. And I am a recovering Agrax Earthshade addict.
There's nothing recovering about me. I use it a great deal. And I'm the same. I'm almost at the end of one bottle. And I'm like, oh. And I said to myself yesterday, you know what? I might just wean myself off it and move over to the Army Painter stuff.
That's what I thought, but I'm like not chancing it.
Not yet, and I'll do that gradually. So yeah, but I actually ordered myself another couple of bottles of dark tone and another 4 bottles of strong tone yesterday.
Really? They're not changing that one, are they?
No, not at all. But it's just like, just want to have them here while they're in stock. That has been from time to time.
I haven't
Supply
used
issues.
any of those Army Painter ones yet.
The trick with them, I think, is to use the medium to mix them down, and the flow improver. I mean, they flow really magnificently, and you don't end up with the tea staining. Well, you end up with far less of the tea staining.
Is that a thing with?
Oh, it's a thing with all of them. I get tea staining with Agrax if I'm not careful.
Yeah, right. Yep.
So, a little bit of duck egg blue, everybody.
It's a very familiar looking figure.
What is that horse?
That particular horse.
Have you painted these, have you, Matty?
Not the one that's running, but the one that's kind of idle there. Because that's same horse as what's in, excuse me, in the bloody Isthak Death Knights.
Ah, yes.
Okay. Knights of the Cleansing Dark,
Knights
not
of the
Death Knights.
Yeah, well,
Death Knights are the skeleton ones.
Knights of the formerly Cleansing Dark.
Yeah, you're gonna bloody make me learn whole new names for everything. Oh my god!
Ah, but
New
see,
additions.
I've waved the Captain Obvious stick at absolutely everything, and where it's had like all of those barbarian, those big beasts.
Yeah.
Well, I've quartered the length of the names and taken all of the apostrophes out of them. So they're actually pronounceable now.
So what are they? 2-horn, 4-horn, 6-horn?
No, they're just like
Spiky Boy.
take the gar off the front, take all the apostrophes out of them, and that's what they are. So,
I would have got Spiky Boys.
Spiky Boys, yeah. Not sure I want to make that kind of association.
Well, I didn't say horny.
Speaking of Spiky Boys, Quentin gave me his orcs.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
He said he's not going to get around to doing them anytime soon, so it's like you can have them.
Right.
He'll focus on his Lego.
Yeah. Yes. And he's. I mean, are they amiibos?
Oh yeah, but they're just a collector's thing for
Yeah, that's a
money
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell you what, if there's a hobby that's more expensive than gaming, it's Lego.
Yeah, actually. And he's going the whole hog. He's going to do a full, table, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
The whole cityscape plus trains plus multi-levels plus blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah. And that'll be spectacular. As will the price tag.
Yeah, well, he's got a fair bit of it already, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like he's
He's
got.
got like 6 trains and
Yeah.
all the track he'll need and stuff.
Yeah.
Got it pretty cheap.
Train stuff is ludicrously expensive new.
Yeah, all of his stuff is off Facebook or Gumtree or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
righto.
He got some really cheap stuff too. So yeah, I have a 40k Orc Army now.
Nice. 40k orcs. So they're not
Yeah,
fantasy
40k.
orcs, they're 40k
Oh,
orcs.
my god, I would have loved it if they were fantasy
Sea
orcs.
orcs, yeah.
Crikey. That would have been amazing.
How big's the army and has he painted any of it?
No, he's not painted any.
Has
It's not big, but
he
it's
even
got
assembled any of it?
yeah, some of it is like, so he bought it second hand.
Ah,
So
okay.
it was like $100.
Yeah, okay.
I picked it up for him in Brisbane. I cleaned off all the metal ones and stripped them and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's some it's not a bad army, to be honest. There's like something like 20 rocket boys or whatever they call those guys.
Yeah.
You know, the assault jump ones.
I've lost touch. So.
Don't know, man. Like the same as the old marine guys with the jetpacks.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
These guys had little rockets stuck to their back, you know, and they used to come in a blister of 2 or 3 or something, so they were always expensive.
Yeah.
Buy the box of them. And Killer Can and all these old ones. A few bikes, a few little trucks, stuff like that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Big knobs and all that sort of thing.
It's nothing quite like having a big knob. So I assume that's going behind the rats in the queue.
Oh yeah. It's behind everything.
Everything. So when he wants it back in 20 years, he can have it back in the same form it's in.
Pretty much. I do like some of the orc models and killer cans and
yeah, they're very
like
characterful. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're just pretty damn low on my priority.
Yeah.
To be honest, 40k is pretty low on my priority.
Yeah.
I'll paint the elder stuff because I've had it since I was a kid, but that's about it. On the nids.
Oh, I was looking at my elder. I opened that drawer yesterday because I was looking for something, and I went, "Oh, that's where it is." Close the drawer again. You're not tempted by this stuff, Matty?
Look, I had a look at the Warhammer website just the other day,
Mm.
and they're selling a single noise marine for $60.
Mm-hmm.
My response to that is, you know what? Fuck off.
Yeah,
It's plastic.
$60.
$60 plus shipping. Fuck that.
That is crazy.
For a noise marine.
A single noise marine in plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was going to direct your attention to the Lord of the Rings stuff, because after a conversation with Joe earlier in the week, which is very funny, I might have to rewind a little bit and replay that, but there's probably some Lord of the Rings miniatures coming my way for my birthday, which is in a couple of weeks' time. I will be in America for that. So if you want Gandalf, right? Gandalf comes in 2 flavours, grey or white. And if you want him as the grey, you can buy a packet, and it's got 3 poses. One in a cart, one on a horse, and one on foot. Well, that's $110.
Shit.
And if you want the white, there's him on a horse with a hobbit, or standing with a hobbit standing. So that's 2 standing figures and effectively 3 figures on a mount. I think that's $70. So, and these are, don't forget, these are 25mm figures, not 28mm figures. Heaven forbid you want something really big like a Mumac. Because I've got that kit, and I can tell you, from the perspective of a model kit, it's appalling. It does not fit together. The gaps are astonishing. Like, I quite literally assembled it and put it down for 8 months because I was so disappointed in the quality of it.
Wow.
I've painted it now, but you know.
Used a couple of tubes of filler on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, a significant portion of a roll of green stuff, plus the liquid green stuff, plus, you know, it was actually really, really bad. Extremely disappointing for a kit that price.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Yeah. I decided I might like the Knights of Dol Amroth, because they're pretty cool. They've got nice banners and all that kind of stuff, and out of stock. Temporarily unavailable.
I find all of the Games Workshop stuff just too pricey these days.
It's crazy.
Yeah, mad.
Like, I thought it was bad when I was a kid, $17 for a blister, but
no,
they're making it out of plastic now.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah. And there was only a few things really that were like the crazy expensive where you only got one in that blister, you know?
Yeah.
If you got 2 or 3, it was, you know, palatable, right?
Like, how many Ultramarine Chapter Masters do you actually need in a blister? Just one.
One, yeah.
Yeah, okay, $22.
Exactly, cough it up. But, you know, these days, for plastics, they're just... Is he having a laugh?
They're fucking tossing one. $60 for a Noise Marine. I mean, God.
But they're also, there's that whole pay-to-play thing where they're charging the cost of the miniature versus what its value is in the game. So it's not what the miniature costs to produce; it's what it's worth to the player.
Well, that's kind of where the old Wraith Guard was sitting. You know, when you got them for, you know, whatever it was, $20 or so, because they weren't the cheap blisters, I don't think, from memory.
I don't recall a Wraith Guard ever being cheap, but yeah.
But yeah, well, they're not too bad now. You can get, or you used to be able to get 5 for 50 plastic one, which I thought was reasonable.
I think it's about the same, but when you consider that there's about $1 worth of plastic in there.
Well, you know, they used to be 20-something bucks each.
Each, yeah.
You know,
as metal.
But you wanted them because, you know what, 4+ and the model was dead. Just dead. Didn't matter what bullshit saves it had, it was dead.
Yeah, no invulnerables.
You know, so.
Right, so there's a debate going on, raging inside my head, about what I'm doing with the other quarters. When I woke up this morning, it was yellow. But then there's orange, there's pink, there's green, there's
Well,
brown.
it depends. Are you sticking to any colour groupings?
No,
No.
not at all. Like, you have a look at the medieval period, which is what sort of high fantasy is based on, and anything went. So
Yeah, I know,
bright
but
and colourful.
I understand that, and I went through that phase when I was about 15, 16, 17, and my models looked shit. And now if I stick to, triadic split complementaries, your cohesion in colour starts to actually come together.
So
And anything quote unquote goes, you just gotta...
we dig out the colour wheel then.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at it now. So if you went for yellow, you might want to put a dash of purpley red in there somewhere.
So we
Bind it
started with
together.
blue.
Mm-hmm.
So harmonious colour schemes. Analogous, monochromatic, using any tint, tone or shade of just one colour. And analogous, using colours that are adjacent to each other on the colour wheel. Use at least 2 but no more than 5 consecutive colours on the wheel. So yellow, green, blue, blue and violet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Complementary, using any 2 colours directly opposite each other on the wheel. So the direct opposite of blue is orange.
Yep. And if you're a light blue, you might want to... Well, you could probably go a dark orange or a light yellow orange, depending on the tones of blues.
Yeah. Well, salt then. Salt the man with orange. Can be in a particularly Dutch mood this morning.
Mm-hmm. Orange is just another form of yellow.
Yeah. And a goat is a sheep with handlebars.
Isn't it? They both give milk. They both give good meat for curry.
Curry.
Horrible, horrible joke about Kiwis and Pakistanis.
How many disclaimers am I putting on this episode?
Yeah, if you thought of the joke, then you're just as much in trouble as I am.
Absolutely.
And that goes for you too, listener. Watcher, audience.
Something about shearing sheep. I'm not shearing this sheep with nobody. Go find your own. There's at least 3 disclaimers right there. Righto. Duck à l'orange.
Finishing off my 2 little high elf archers.
Yes.
10mm.
Oh yeah. It's the Warmaster stuff.
Yeah, I had a couple of spare strips, so I've cut them up into singles so that I can put them in the little patchy derms I've been painting.
Right.
Instead of, I had like only one. Well, I don't know what they came from, whether they're like ancients or say orcs even. Don't know which thing they came from. But I had one strange little guy for the, whatever they call that little box on the back of the elephant.
The howdah.
The howdah, that's right. And I was like, well, I've got 4 howdahs and I've got 1 guy, so This doesn't work.
Right. I was going to
Thought I
say
might.
4 howdahs and 1 elephant.
No, 4 elephants, 4 howdahs, but one little guy in the back of them.
Right. Let's just
So,
imagine you ending up with an elephant high-rise.
so yeah, I thought, well, they can become high elf.
Be like a Second World War Japanese battleship, but an elephant.
But only the one turret.
Oh no, where did that go?
Wait for the video.
Dive bombed by a hare. It's just floating past and went, oh, fresh paint. Ka-ching.
Yoink.
That's always the way.
It is.
Yeah, I actually have a dedicated pair of really, 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 really sharp tweezers
Yeah.
that sits with my paintbrushes. I don't paint quick enough, so stuff settles on the damn things as I'm painting, you know?
Yep.
Speaking of the high elves, I've been thinking that I might paint my 28mm Warhammer Fantasy high elves as black people.
It's dark skinned.
Dark skins,
Yeah.
yeah.
Why not?
Why not? I've been terrified of painting it because I'm like, how do I highlight this without losing their colour, you know? And, you know, I bought that book from, I think it was AK Interactive or whatever, about
Yeah.
painting skin.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I bought that Army Painter skin set, which has got all the different tones.
Yeah.
You can do just about anything with that. Gotten a lot of use out of my one.
Yeah?
I've done my first dark skin tones just now. Like
Really?
the unit I'm currently painting, base with the Jasper. It's not the darkest. It's not
Oh, yeah.
deepest, darkest Africa dark, but it's still quite dark.
That is quite dark, yeah.
And then you go over it with your skin tones. Even the light one is fairly dark on it. But
Like the Amber or
you've got your
Dorado or
options.
something.
Oh, they put out a video on how to use it. You start off with your base coat, then you do a wash with one of their skin tone washes, and then lighten up from there, Dorado and then Amber. But with the wash, you know, it goes from the Jasper goes from an actual Jasper sort of ready dark red color to very, very brown.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And then you lighten it up from there, of course, but you don't have to.
Yeah, well, that's what I was kind of thinking, because I've always been so horrified of painting skin, that I, you know, hence painting Elder and Tyranids was strategic.
Yep. Yep.
And I don't think it was until about maybe 2 or 3 years ago that I actually painted my first face.
The parallels here are scary, Kle. They really are. Maybe it's something that most painters go through.
Well, it's also, for me, I don't look at faces,
Yeah.
you know? Most of the time, like, depending on the person, they'll stare, they'll bore their eyes into every bloody person they see,
Yeah.
and the other group of people like me just walk around staring at their feet.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
I was
quite hard to paint faces when you don't look at faces.
just going to show an example of what Matty was talking about. Because I did that for the Relpath the Dwarf Kickstarter. I noticed that my halflings didn't get used for the current one. Paul painted his own. I don't think he liked the fact that I copied Michael Sheen. You see these?
Yeah.
Now, how often
Yeah.
is a dwarf considered sort of skin of that colour?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that I'm pretty sure they're painted with the jasper with a wash. So
Good to know. Yeah, that's good.
go turn the heating down a notch. I'm dying.
Yeah, so I was either going to do the ogres as a dark skin, or something else, and Rach suggested doing the ogres as more Caucasian and doing the elves as dark skin.
Yeah. See, I think that'd work.
Yeah, because everyone paints elves as these pasty white fellas, and I'm like, maybe not. Maybe not.
There's nothing to say that they have to be pasty white fellas.
That's right. And they're going to be based for the desert anyway.
Yeah.
With the rats and everything else, so.
Yeah. Well, it's just because the people that were reading that sort of literature at the time were pasty white fellas and considered that
pasty
the
white
elves looked like
fellas.
them.
Yeah, or they were writing that literature and they wanted to be the morally high ground, and hence the pasty white fellas are the morally high ground.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of subtlety in Tolkien's elves in particular. That if you read between the lines, they're not necessarily the good people. Like, read the Silmarillion, you figure out the elves are just as shitty as everybody else.
Yeah. Now that you've said all of that, I do have a army of Demonworld Dark Elves here that I was thinking about doing dark skin tones.
Yeah. Why
And you've just made me feel bad for wanting to do, dark is evil, and dark elves are therefore dark. Therefore dark is evil. Like, God. I don't normally get twisted up about that sort of thing, but someone might.
Yeah, that's their problem. That's your army. You do it the way you like.
Dark skin tones, black, purple, and anything metal is copper or bronze.
Absolutely.
How about that?
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
And the big demon is going to be pink.
Of course. I've renamed all the demons. So.
I suppose you'd have to fit with the new, what do you call it?
Pantheon.
Pantheonic order.
Yep. So, you remember Zerubbabel's daughters? I'm pretty sure you've painted a unit of them.
2 units, actually.
2 units of them, yeah. Right. Now, they're just called horrors.
Well, that's understandable.
Because they are. If you woke up next to that, it'd be like, ooh, that was a good night.
I don't think you'd be waking up from that night.
You never know.
Edges so sharp on those you can cut yourself.
Oh, I didn't say you woke up whole.
It's a good thing they aren't smiling. Could you imagine those teeth?
I'm playing the conversation I'm going to have with Jo later when she sees these in my head.
Oh my god, they're yellow.
No, it'll be something along the lines of, well, at least they're not fucking yellow.
So, Tap Envy US LLC says, very nice. I don't have the coordination or patience to paint minis, but I do have respect for those that do.
Well, thank you
Welcome
very much.
to the stream. We're here this time every week, mostly.
Mostly.
Telling stupid jokes and painting stuff. Well, Dan paints stuff.
They mostly come at night, mostly. Oh no, there's another one.
What you gotta do is shave your head. No more of this pretending.
Well,
Actually,
it's not
think you
my
did
head
shave
that's the problem.
Eyebrows too, then.
Well, no, it's nose hairs.
Oh, well. They've got razors for those.
Yeah, I know. Have you ever tried one?
No, I pluck.
Well, yeah, like, that's all they do. But they just do it en masse. They twist everything into a rope and then yank it out.
What surprises me is how many nose hairs I can pluck.
It's like, why are there so many?
Yeah, there's more there than on my head.
Well, I don't have that problem, fortunately.
Yeah. Matty's got better genetic stock than you or I do, Kle. At least as far as head hair is concerned.
I think only one or two of my uncles went bald. I got a lot of uncles.
I was going bald in my mid-20s.
Well, as I like to joke, people who go bald tend to have their gift somewhere else. And it's usually in game mastering or tabletop gaming. Or other nerdy pursuits.
Yes. There's that joke about, what it says about a man when he has big feet. It says, well, yes, large socks and expensive shoes. Hey, we had a visitor, Matty.
Yep.
For the first time in, I don't know.
A while.
That's awesome.
Where was that visitor in the
Twitch stream?
The Twitch chat. Yep. Yes, indeed, you are the first visitor in a little while.
6 months?
I don't think it's been that long.
Oh, come on.
No, seriously, I think it's been more recent than that. Consider that, we're painting niche product range for a relatively niche company.
Mm-hmm. And we don't advertise anywhere.
No. Anyway. You don't
and
get...
it's like watching paint dry.
Well, it is watching paint dry. It's exactly like watching paint dry. Self-deprecating humour, Russ.
And we all have weird accents.
That's from being somewhat Antipodean.
And we use big words like that. Sometimes when we've had enough coffee. Or cans of Coke.
All cans of Coke. Set a new benchmark this morning, Kle. 7 minutes past 3.
You awake?
Yeah.
Oh, crikey.
That's the earliest so far this week.
My auntie sent me a message at 3 in the morning.
Yes. Why would she do that?
That's what I was trying to work out. It wasn't an urgent thing. It was some random thing about the fact that she's completing most of her home improvements. You know, like the roof has stopped leaking and, fixing up the drafts and stuff. She's down at Phillip Island, so it's cold down there.
Oh, yeah, no, fair enough. And you do want to fix this kind of stuff up, but informing people at 3 a.m.? Really?
Yeah. Well, she hasn't got anyone left to talk to pretty much in the family.
Okay.
Except me. I'm the only one she talks to.
Right. She doesn't even talk to Quentin.
No, doesn't talk to Quentin. Her and Mum just do not get on it well. They haven't got on for years.
Welcome to Dutch families.
Yeah.
Really. So I suppose one way of annoying your mother is telling you that you've spoken to his sister.
Oh, yeah, well, I actually talk to my auntie more than my mum.
Yeah, well, given what you've told me in the past, that's not a real surprise.
No.
So, is she on the property on Phillip Island, or a different property?
Different property, actually. She moved down there, Jesus, 25 years ago.
Right. Okay.
And Laurie's had his house there for 40 years now. I don't know why, man. A whole bunch of my family have lived around Phillip Island. None of them were born there. They were all either Gippsland. Well, my auntie was born in Holland, so there you go.
Am I welcome to venture a really stereotypical observation of the Dutch persona? 40 years ago, stuff on Phillip Island was cheap.
Yeah. Laurie bought the blocks. I think he bought all... I don't know, there's 4 blocks. I think he bought them for 15,000 for all 4.
Yeah.
And that's like the third house from the beach.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, it was cheap. So, yeah, she's lived down there for ages. She doesn't talk to my dad either. They hate each other. They used to get along before I was born, but he just got sick of her. She was a bit of an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can be a bit of one or if just an alcoholic. Either way.
So. Flashback to that conversation we had yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not sure that there's such a thing as a bit.
No, I don't think there was a bit. She's not anymore, but back then it was when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, and
hence being ostracised from the family.
Yep. My ex-wife would do a bottle of wine between the time school got out to the time I got home from work.
Holy crap.
Oh, now I've got cats hitting and hissing and spitting at each other. It's a real animal sort of a morning.
I'm glad you didn't say pig. A real pig of a morning.
Why would I have said that?
Animal. Pig.
Animal. Every now and again, Logan likes to remind Kendra of who's boss. And she just makes an unreasonable amount of noise. Like, he's 6 feet from her. And she's still growling and hissing and whatever.
Which orange is that?
Army Painter Lava Orange.
Quite a strong orange, man.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. I was using, I think it's called Fire Orange
Yeah,
by Vallejo.
yeah,
You put it on one coat and it looks yellow.
right.
You need about 4 coats and then it turns orange. Like that orange you're looking at there,
Yeah.
but it just does take a few
Yeah,
coats.
well, that's one coat. No.
Yeah.
This is another one of those contrast paints that I use an unreasonable amount of.
Snakebite lava.
Nope, this is the Agaros Dunes. Yeah, I do use Snakebite a lot.
Snakebite's a good horse colour.
It is.
Is that snakebite leather?
Yeah.
I still got the name.
So I'll do 2 or 3 as Agaros, 2 or 3 as Snakebite. Normally 1 as Wildwood, and then just pick something else, maybe a grey or whatever for the last one. Because, I just think having variety in the horses is better. These figures are going to need a lot of under shading up in here where the billowing of the covers. That's all going to have to get blacked in to give it shadow.
Do you use contrast paints, Matty?
I do use a couple. Not many of them, but a couple.
How have you found going from more normal paints to the contrast paints?
Well, I started out with some of both in my collection at the same time. I hadn't painted miniatures for like 20 years before, relatively recently. There are things that I like the contrast paints for, like big areas of natural stuff, and I think they're great for that. But there are some things that just not suited for it because of my particular skill level.
Well, you can't use them for big flat areas. You just can't. They have to be textured areas.
Well, I mean more like putting paint on and having it run everywhere because I've put too much paint on.
Oh yeah, but like everybody says, you can't do the shoulder pads of a marine with a contrast paint because it doesn't work.
I don't know, they've got recesses on them.
Yeah, but you end up with that nasty swirl across the flat roundy surface.
Well,
Right, so it really has to be really textured, does it?
Yeah, typically.
Yeah,
That's
right.
actually
I would have
where
thought that the shoulder pad would have been okay, but no.
That's where the quick paints, speed paints from Army Painter are actually better for that kind of area, because they pull to the recess better in a more even way.
Yep. Yeah, I did one or two things with the contrast paints, and I just reeled back and put them all in a drawer.
Yeah, right.
And
But like this kind of
stick to
stuff
flow aid and thinner, yeah.
for horses, for
Yeah.
legs and stuff like that, that's just going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
You look at these.
Yeah, so that might be my problem at the time. I might have painted the wrong thing. Even if it was small, it might have just not had the texture I needed.
Yeah. Like the see the crests?
Mhm.
It's all contrast. Granted, it's had a wash over the top of it, but you know.
Yeah. Do you highlight after you wash with the contrasts?
Not normally. So metals, yes, but generally not anything else because you generally don't need to. Again, if you're thinning, because I'm sourcing them with the Army Painter, that thinned 50-50 mixture with the flow aid.
Mm.
It doesn't pool, like it draws into the recesses, so you don't really need to highlight. You can, but
You add flow aid to the contrast paints or to the ink?
to the wash,
The wash, yes.
to the. So
That's
these
right.
are the Army Painter tones, the acrylic tone, the dark tone, strong tone, soft tone. So yeah, mix them. They've got a mixing medium.
Yep,
So
I got one of those in that set.
Yep. So when you dilute them 50-50 with that, you're getting the same consistency. Whereas if you were to diluting them 50-50 with water, you end up with problems. So you do that.
Is that mixing medium nothing more than acrylic binder? Yeah, it's just a
pretty
glaze.
much.
Yeah?
Pretty much. It's the base of the liquid that the pigment has been dropped into.
Yeah.
And yes, they've already got a flow aid in them, but for 15mm, you just don't need that much contrast. You know what I mean? You overwhelm the miniature if you use them neat. Whereas the 28, you'll get away with using them neat.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I found actually that the dwarves could have done with more contrast in my painting.
Yeah, I
They're
don't
good
think so.
when I look at them.
Yeah.
You know, because I've got, I'm holding. I painted them so I could pick them up and really appreciate them.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they're, on that quote unquote arm's length or table, I feel like I lost the detail.
Right. I don't agree. Have you looked at the photos in the book?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I just like when I look at the those War Master trolls I painted.
Yeah.
They really start to pop.
Yeah.
Even when they're at arm's length, they still pop.
Yeah. There's very
Having said
strong
that,
contrast
though,
on those.
yeah. And having said that, though, I worked with really strong colours,
Yeah.
Whereas the dwarves, I was painting in muted colours to make them more realistically medieval
Mm-hmm.
as a design choice. But I still could have maybe pushed the shadows darker or something. I don't know.
I'm not sure there's anything realistically medieval about these.
No, but you remember when we had those first conversations about the dwarves, and you're like, they're not Scottish, and they don't have orange beards.
They may not have orange beards, I think I said. Not
But
that
yeah,
there's
I
anything
know.
wrong with being Scottish with an orange beard. Just putting that out there.
No, it's just that typecasting, stereotypical, whatever it is,
Yeah.
the genre.
According to Peter Jackson, nobody tosses dwarves either, right?
Yeah. So, well, just because they're short doesn't mean they're actually light. Have you seen the guts on those guys?
Yeah. What's hilarious to me is that the actor that played Gimli was actually bigger than absolutely everybody else.
Yeah.
So they had to do that whole foreshortening thing. Do you remember how I was saying you had to push the miniatures back and bring the buildings forward?
Yeah.
Well, that's what they did with every scene with Gimli in it.
Right. I was wondering how they really made the hobbits look so small, because
Yeah.
Elijah Wood, I mean, he's not a
tiny.
dwarf.
No. But yeah, that's what they did. They used foreshortening.
There you go.
Okay, gents, I gotta run. Good talking to you again. I'll see you next week if you're still here, Dan.
Yeah, next week. But I think next week will probably be it until after Gen Con. So.
All right.
Well.
Then we'll see you then, if not before.
Have a damn fine weekend, Matty.
Certainly try.
Okay.
Good one.
See you.
Thanks much.
Bye.
Right. Bye.
Yeah, that colour combo's looking good.
So the slightly darker tail over the legs. But what I'll do, they've got these bits down here just above the hooves. And then the hooves themselves.
Yeah.
Because the hooves are generally darker. And like, I was terrified of horses. I just didn't want to paint cavalry.
Yeah.
And
well, you know how long it took me to get around to those ponies.
Yeah. I know what it I know what it took in your personal life to get you to paint them.
Yeah.
And it's just not that scary anymore. For me, the contrast paint makes painting horses really simple.
Yep. Again, for me, the issue I had with starting the horses was the same as the faces.
Yeah.
I'm just not interested in horses, so I've never really looked at them.
Yeah.
You know, and it took a fair amount of looking at April's horse books.
Yeah.
For me to understand how I was going to paint them and what's going on with a horse and all these stuff.
Yeah, same. Joe's had horses. You know, she had multiple, owned and rode multiple into her early 20s. So she has a very, very good idea of what a horse looks like, and it took that kind of insight to get them to be acceptable.
Yep.
They all just looked a little bit odd, and she said, "No, it looks a little bit odd because of these things." And okay, take that on board.
Yep.
You know, having the socks and the nose flash and everything a certain way makes a lot more sense than otherwise.
Yeah, I was looking at all the different little, whatever they call those nose things.
I've missed a leg. Yeah. So what's on for the rest of the weekend?
I have a 50th night.
Yeah, right.
Which will be fun. Do it at the other end of town.
Right.
Which is what I was chopping the wood for yesterday.
Yeah, right. That's his bonfire, yeah?
Yeah, he's got a few fires and, speakers and a lamb on a spit, not a pig on a spit. So yeah, just do that this evening, and we had a whole bunch of stuff planned this weekend, but nothing come of it now. So
Well, there you go.
soccer's cancelled.
Soccer's cancelled.
Well, we're not going to soccer, and we don't have to go to the market. And we had this Robo Rave, which is like a Lego. You know those Robo Wars?
Yeah.
Yep. So this was a Lego one of those Robo Wars where they
Right.
battle robots.
Yeah.
And it was down on the Sunshine Coast University. Using those, maybe it's called Mindstorm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Arlo, I bought Arlo a kit not long ago. Hang on a second. Yeah, it's an EV3 robot. That's right.
Yeah.
And I got it actually really cheap off someone on Gumtree in Brisbane. And anyway, because his school's doing it, and he entered in this school thing, and he's doing all the stuff at school with the robots and stuff.
Yep.
But the school wouldn't let him use his robot.
What, he had to use theirs?
Had to use theirs, but they have like limited bits and stuff. It's still the same robot, still like the EV3 robot.
Yeah. Right.
They must have had like a different kit or something. Don't know. Anyway, his robot, he built it and designed it himself because he's like, I want tracks and I want this and I want that. He's built a dozer blade, built the whole thing himself, worked it out how to put it all together and build it and stuff. And it was beating everyone at school.
Yeah.
And so they wouldn't let him use his own robot.
Right.
Because it was quote unquote unfair. And like he hasn't used anything other than what was in the EV3 robot box set.
Yeah, right.
Right? But I don't know how. They must have like an education box set where they got like 10 or 20 of them, and it's not the same as what you can buy in the shops.
Not the commercial one. So
yeah,
the educational one's been nerfed for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, the educational one didn't have any tracks in it; only has wheels.
Yeah, okay.
And the normal ones have tracks. And anyway, they just wouldn't let him use it. So
right. So we
were going to go and register ourselves and go in, but then he wasn't allowed to compete personally and with his school. So we're just like, the whole thing's just too hard.
Yeah. They've made it
tough, like, why can't you use your own robot? And if there is a problem with, him winning all the time at school, it's fine. Enter your school team and hopefully win the bloody challenge then.
Yeah. So,
but no, they're just closed-minded, simple people,
That's right. It's like we're in equity of outcome at this point, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly, instead of embracing the learning of, his kit being different and actually trying to encourage winning a trophy at school.
Yeah.
No, they've just went, oh, well, that robot's too good at school, so we can't enter that in the competition.
Yeah.
Well, hang on a second. That's the one you want to enter. Maybe you can get a bloody name for the school instead of just taking all the shit robots that you can't win with now.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So yes, I don't have anything else on. Just
there you go. A little bit of food, a little bit of
music, bit of fun.
Music, bit of fun. Some painting.
Yeah, just doing the base on that last Demonworld mortar.
Oh yeah, right, cool.
And these little dwarves, and actually doing a horse too, a 28mm horse for Coco. Has April's been working on her second horse.
Okay.
And it's 99% done, and I just want to get her over that last little bit.
And she names them?
No. She just paints them and leaves them on my desk.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. They look pretty good, actually, to be honest.
Well, I mean, you already know that Arlo's going to be tech savvy and imaginative, and that April's probably going to be somewhat arty.
Yeah, she just doesn't stop painting and drawing.
Yeah. Fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. Should H do any of that stuff?
He is doing a bit of stuff these days. After strong encouragement, she's doing watercolors now.
Ah, yeah, cool.
Yeah, which are turning out pretty damn good, to be honest.
So, okay. I'll have a look at that in a minute.
What's that?
Whatever you've just sent.
Oh yeah, that was just a photo of the two horses, April's.
Yeah.
You'll have to excuse the banding of the LED light.
No. So... So this is, you get the darker tail for the... So you get the darker tail on the leather brown legs.
Yep.
You don't have to. You can go for a lighter tail. The only problem with the lighter tail is it's a modern horse. They didn't exist in the medieval times. There's a bunch of horse breeds that we've got now that just simply didn't exist. Modern horses are also significantly bigger than their medieval counterparts.
Yeah, right. It's interesting.
They've all been bred for size and power over hundreds of years. And so, the horses that the ancient Greeks and the Romans and everybody else fought on were ponies by today's standards.
Yeah, right.
So you've got the darker tail and the hooves and everything like that. So,
yeah.
Reasonable facsimile of a horse.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't know that they even the little things like the colour differences in tails and stuff,
Mm-hmm. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, and that just relates back to that whole composition of colour, like it's not actually the colour wheel in this case. It's more about the the realisticness of the colours you use for that horse for that period that you're painting.
Yeah.
But it makes a difference, subtle differences, a difference.
Yeah. It's just enough to turn it from, toy horse into
Believable.
Something that's somewhat believable, yeah. I've missed this guy's face and ears.
I hate that. I do a check, when you're doing like 5 or 10 or whatever it is of them. You go mentally in your mind, just start on the same thing. You'll do legs, hooves, tail, or whatever it is, and you'll do that check in your mind, and then you get to the end of it, and you're like, and start a new color, and you're like, how did I miss that bit?
Yeah, all the time. How did I miss that? How did I miss that? So, go and get the snake bite again. Do that before I forget about it. Because that's the other thing, is I need to come back and touch that up. Then you forget about it.
Yeah, well, I looked at, I've got a bunch of my rats out because I'm painting the next lot of rats, so I like to have them lined up for, for colour reference guides and stuff. Anyway, I was looking at one and realised I'd missed his little gem, I'd missed his teeth.
Yeah, right. I shudder to think what I missed on the ones I sent you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the same thing, you're just doing like so many of them, it just goes into autopilot and you miss a bit, So, but thankfully it's just paint. and more I realise it's just paint.
Just paint, yeah.
You just start adding a new layer, so he's back on the painting table, and I'll finish him off.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to put some insignia on these. I've got some decals, and I'm going to put decals on them, like on the fabric of the horse, not just the shield.
Yep.
So get to that in a minute. So this guy will be very dark, and he'll end up with a nearly black tail.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking forward to painting the high elf horses I have.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm looking forward to painting the high elf army.
This is 28 or
28, yeah.
yeah, right.
I have a War Master high elf as well.
Yeah, right. But this is the 28.
28s, yeah. Man, you almost never see Warhammer Fantasy stuff for sale on Gumtree anymore.
Right.
But I was cruising a year ago now, and this guy had like 100-litre box of miniatures.
Right.
Just in the box.
Yeah.
And it was high elf, dark elf, and maybe something else.
Yeah.
And $300, and no one bought it for ages. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll just go and check this out. It was in Brisbane, so it was a bit of an effort. I had to go there for something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I bought it. There was like thousands of dollars of miniatures in there.
Yeah.
Brand new dark elf dragon.
Oh, really?
Yep. Unassembled, unpainted, just in the bits of it.
Yeah.
And it was the middle dark elf dragon, so it's not the new ones that I have. It's the plastic metal one they had.
Oh, yeah.
Not the early metal ones. It was the next generation with the plastic metal ones.
Yeah.
So it's a nice, still really nice model, you know.
Yeah.
But it had reasonably, so it was a huge dark elf army, like 20 or so cold ones, maybe even more, 30 cold ones or something, cold one riders, and
Yeah.
heaps of stuff. Heaps of metal stuff too. Anyway, there was a good sized dark high elf army in there too.
Right.
And I've supplemented it with a few other things, so there's quite a nice sized high elf army I've got now.
I had a bloody high elf army. Probably,
you did?
Yeah, probably 100 figures or so, probably.
Yeah.
Got rid of that when I did, sort out after my marriage came apart. So
It's a shame.
yeah, it really is. Although, to be honest, a lot of the foot troops were the same pose. They were those early archers and
yeah, see,
all the same.
Yeah, those plastic early archers and spearmen are rubbish.
Yeah.
It's just because, they're exactly the same.
Yeah.
Not like the rats where you've got slightly different poses or you can put them together differently.
No, these
they were almost
they were single
piece, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I had when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I have now just what would have been in a box starter set of that.
Yeah.
So, 20 or 30 of the spearmen and the archers. but I also bought some of the metal spearmen, and I've got probably about 30, maybe more, maybe 40 of the white lions,
Yeah.
and I've got the sea Lotharian or whatever they are, the sea lion guard or whatever they call them, and so thankfully I've got all the different
Yeah.
poses and some of the metal ones, you know.
Yeah, it's another one of those things I lament, is not having that stuff. But then, priorities, right? Even if I did have it,
Yeah.
would I be working on it? Not right now.
No. Yeah, and well, I've got now 4 or 5 fantasy armies.
Yeah.
So you can, it's a priority, right? They're for some time in the future.
Yeah, you can't do everything all at the same time. Like, I've got some bits and pieces that are turning up next week, and they're like, when am I going to get to them? You know, I'm just not sure.
Yeah,
Oh, that lid
that's all
needs
right though.
cleaning out. Oh, these turned up.
What's that?
Is that the set that you got?
Yeah. Show me the colours. Which are the colours?
So
They're...
red, yellow, black, pink, green, and white.
Yeah, I think that is the ones we have, and it's only the metallic green one. The rest aren't metallic.
Yes.
Pretty sure that's it. Yeah.
Yep. New white, as opposed to old white, I guess. So now's the tricky bit. When you've got a brush that's not cooperating, it's very annoying.
What's that?
I've got a brush that's not cooperating. It's
Oh,
got
yeah.
hair going in a random direction. I've had real trouble with brushes this week. I painted the prototype models for the Noble Armada stuff to take with me to Gen Con to display, and I was using a bigger brush. What a nightmare. An absolute nightmare.
Yep.
You know, it decided it was going to do, a perm hairdo on itself.
Oh, right.
And
I'm still on those, what are they? Golden maple brushes.
yeah.
Still on the size 1. The size 2 is now a little bit, not so sharp, but at a size 2, it's pretty big, so you can I use it for big areas.
It was this one that's the problem. If you can see, it's split.
Yeah. That's annoying, isn't it, when they split?
I think that one will probably just end up in the bin.
Yeah, man. Like, my size 1 of that golden maple, it's just got a little bit of a cowlick at the end.
Yeah.
But it's still got a nice point.
Yeah.
And
that is such a typical Taklon thing to do.
Yeah,
that little curl at the end.
Yeah.
I found you can actually use it to your benefit.
Yeah, I do. I use it to my benefit.
For a little while, and then it gets too big, and at that point you just put them in the bin.
Well, so long as it's still got a point, I'm okay.
Uh-huh.
And I'm fastidious about washing my brushes.
Yeah.
I will wash them multiple times in a session with soap.
And I'm just a hack. Like, I just hack away at them, and when they fail, I put them in the bin. So I treat brushes really badly, as a matter of fact.
I just hate spending so much money on them, so I just keep treating them well. And I reckon I've painted at least half or more of the dwarves with that golden maple.
Yeah. It's I got brushes here that have done sterling duty. I still don't treat them well. Yeah, I was a bit sort of fed up a few weeks ago. I was a bit tired and a bit sick of it. Pushing myself to get those starter armies done for the photography for the book and all that kind of stuff. And I was a bit sort of jaded and a bit burnt out, and started looking for other things to do. And I've just ended up coming right back to it again.
The what?
The Demonworld.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of those Black Seas models coming, but every time I look at one of them, I go, there's probably 30 or 40 hours work in each model. Do I really want to, Do I really want to start?
Insane.
Yeah, they're just because those sailing ships had a lot of detail, and if you don't do them, if you don't do the detail, they just look wrong.
Yeah, it's not worth it then. Yeah,
it's not worth it. Like I was looking at one of so they'd got somebody to make one of the miniatures for the cover photo, and I think it was even HMS Victory, and I'm looking at the picture on the box, going, it's wrong. How can you possibly make a model of the most iconic sailing man of war ship like that ever existed and get it that wrong?
Yeah, it's not great, is it?
No.
For a cover shot for the box art or whatever it was.
Yeah. Being on the other side of the veil, I know that there are deadlines, and sometimes you just don't get the result that you're looking for from the people that are doing the work, and you're shit out of luck. You're out of time, so you've got to go with what you've got. That's what I was saying. I don't know if you were in the chat when I was saying to Matty that the printer pointed out that the cover photo for the Demonworld book's not in focus.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just ever so slightly soft.
Yep. Well, I was a bit worried about my dwarf ones because when I zoom in to 100%, they're not as sharp as I wanted them to be.
No, and this is what this guy was pointing out, saying that the image is not as sharp as he thought it should be. But at the end of the day, it's only as sharp as it needs to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and Rachel's dad's a photographer,
Yeah.
and he's been here for the last 2 weeks. So I was like, well, this is a good time. I'll get him to help me improve my photography.
Yeah.
And he looked at it and like, yeah, I think you're nitpicking.
Right.
No one looks at them that zoomed in.
Right.
But you can just go into Photoshop and use sharpen.
Right.
And I did, and it actually improves it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he just recommended using the
Right.
Gaussian sharpen in Photoshop, and it looks good on the
Right.
dwarves.
But I like the nitpicking comment. I really do, because that's what it is.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. No one else is going to notice it, especially when you print them at the size of a fucking 20-cent piece, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a 6x9 book, so it's not even A4. So, yeah, turns out that image is not actually going to be that big in real life. The problem with the cover photo is that it covers 4 pages, because it's the outside front and back and the inside front and back.
Ah, yeah.
The image is that wide. So
Yeah.
you can't get that many pixels to stretch that far without a little bit of loss of quality, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it's by no means the worst crime in the book.
Yeah. So you're printing them, are you, as well?
So, yeah, they're getting 100 printed to take to Gen Con.
Cool.
Just so we've got a physical copy if people want to buy it. I don't know that we'll get rid of them, but nominal cost, I think we're charging $10 for each one of those, which is pretty much what it's costing us to get them printed. So not making any money on those. But then the PDF's free, so just give that away.
Yeah. Wouldn't mind a copy when you're
Physical
done and
one?
dusted next year. Yeah.
Right.
But no hurry. Sometime later in the year.
Well, if I don't snag one at Gen Con, you'll never get one, because
Are you only doing that first print run?
yeah, they won't be
Yeah,
printed again. The other thing is that when we do the full rule book, the advanced rule book, that'll be printed and it'll be full color.
Right. Yeah.
And that's likely to be, in the order of 250 pages or something. So, well, given that the basic rules are 60 pages, so
yeah.
So definitely make sure you
And
get a copy of that.
when's that? You coming out next year sometime? Or planned, I should say.
What is it planned? So yeah, we have a rough date of 2023. Oh,
Okay,
God.
that's good. I've got a rough date to fix up some of those dwarf things then.
Right.
I looked at the skirmishers. I was about to rip them off their bases.
Mm.
But unfortunately, I cut the legs on them.
Oh, really?
So that they actually had their legs in the air rather than just that bit of, dirt or whatever it is.
Yep.
Because I wanted them to be more dynamic, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh my god, if I try and rip these guys off, they're going to break at the ankles now.
Yep. Not enough support left.
Yeah, not enough to, once I try and break off all that
The other thing,
sandy basing stuff I've got on there, and then get the super glue and shit, I'll end up breaking the miniature.
you'd have to soak them in acetone, and at that point you'd be destroying the base as well because ABS melts in acetone. So.
Yeah, and I didn't want to wreck the paint job. I just wanted to peel them off and rebase them.
Yeah, no way.
And I just looked at it and went, oh,
not a chance.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
So,
buy another packet.
yeah, that's it.
So we're nearly done with the shadowing. Then it's the leather of the saddle, the belly strap, and the reins, or harness, halter, whatever.
Yep.
And then I'll dig out the decals. I'll put the decals on them and call it, I reckon.
Man, that's so quick with the bloody contrasts,
Yeah, these, the blue and the orange aren't contrast. They're just standard war paints.
Oh, yeah.
But the stuff on the horses, not having to highlight the tails and all that kind of stuff, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, man. Because there's any time I paint something, there's no less than about minimum I would do after I've done all my black and white shading is 3 coats.
Yeah, right.
Minimum on any piece. And more often than not, it'll be 5 or 6.
Yeah.
It just takes.
Well, that's why they look better than what I'm doing, because you've taken the time.
Yeah, but a lot of that you can actually get from contrast paints.
Yeah. Yep.
A quick contrast paint, ink or wash, and then a dry brush. I've seen people doing.
Yep.
And they come out looking mighty fine. It's just, like I said, I did it once and I just went, oh my God, yuck. Put it away. I can't use this. I don't know how to do this.
There's no way you're going to be producing what Richard Gray does with contrast paints. There's just no way. However,
well, I've seen some guys, like obviously not Richard Gray, but I've seen what some people have been doing with the contrast paints, and they look damn amazing.
Yeah.
You just got to have the right techniques with them to get that effect that you want. Either it's contrast paint on with the right application and it looks good, and if you want to take it further because you've got different desires, then you can keep working it. You just got to know all those techniques.
Yep.
And for me, I suppose it was I knew how to use the Vallejo paints with my thinners and flow aids to get the effect I needed from. It's the same as the contrast paint anyway.
Yeah.
So just stuck with that.
It's just experimentation. Just
try
exactly. It. Yeah. Don't be afraid to strip a miniature if you have to.
Well, I've got so many these days that when I do that, I just try and pick up something I don't care too much about, and I'll just try a new technique on it.
Yeah. See, I'm not even bothering to zenithal any of these. There's no need.
Yep.
The bigger stuff, sure, but not these.
Yeah, I did it for all of that Demonworld, and I don't know, man. I think it's just a subtle effect, but it makes me feel better.
Well, there's no zenithal in those. They're just painted. So, and I'm cutting corners because I'm trying to get volume out, and individually and even in units, they may not look that good, but I put those 600 figures on a table, and the combined effect of the 600 figures looks good.
Yeah.
So it's what you're trying to do. I don't know. I can't imagine having painted a 400 figure Tyranid army trying to get to the quality that these guys are doing for the Golden Demon or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a different goal, I think.
Well, that's it. And I like the idea of some of that, Golden Demon style painting or your Richard Grays and whatnot. But I'm an army painter.
Yep.
And I want my armies just to look good, and that's it. And if I'm happy with that, that's fine.
Well, that's the point. The point is that it's a hobby. At the end of the day, it's about what you like, what you want, and the only person you can compare yourself against is you.
Go give these kids food.
And frankly, I think what you do is pretty damn good. So, but again, it's
been improving over the years. Yeah. I look at some of the stuff I painted just before I left Melbourne, and I'm like, ugh. Tried to take a photo of it, and once it was on a camera, I was like, oh, I'm not posting that.
Yeah, right.
But hey, to other people, it might look really good. And the thing is that they look good as their unit when they're on the table.
Yep.
It's just that when you take a photo of one or two of them in a camera,
oh yeah,
it's not the same, right?
No, and the camera's cruel. It really is.
Yeah, isn't it?
It really is.
So
I was looking at those spiders that I posted, going, "Wow, doesn't the camera show the flaws?"
All the time.
Most people are just too busy freaking out about the fact that you've posted a picture of a large spider, so you get away with it. So yeah, I'm gonna just I'm gonna knock off this leather stuff, and well, it's quarter to 10 anyway. So I'm gonna knock off the
Yeah, I'm
leather
gonna get
stuff and
these.
then call it. So
Yeah, I got to get these kids some food.
yep. Have a damn fine weekend.
Yeah, you too, and I'll see you Monday.
Inevitably. Thanks, Kle.
Yeah, no worries. Have a good one, man.
Yep. Cheers.
Yeah.
Righto. 10 minutes of silence. Here we are. So I'll get a decal on those and then wash them and then pick out some metal bits and they'll be done, and then move on to the riders, which is a whole bunch of metal because armour. Thanks for joining. Hope you've enjoyed this. I did. Thanks to Matty and Kle. And see you next week. Thanks, folks.